Today is, what is today? Tuesday? No, today is Wednesday, November the 2nd, 2022. We're going to be talking about y'all boy Jamal Bryant. Listen, Jason, get your man. I don't know, what's up with your man, Jason? What's up with your man's most excellent Theophilus? What's going on with your boy right here, Jamal Bryant? Anyway, kind of stumbled across this particular article. I think that was this morning. This morning I stumbled across this, and I'm like, oh man, this guy here, of all people, he doesn't have the right to call anybody a quote unquote broken black man. You know, I I really don't care to cover too many articles from uh, Jamal Bryant. Because I'm just like I really don't like giving him shine, but there's just some stuff I'm like, he's just one of those people. He just makes for content. He's like one of those people that you want to ignore, but you can ignore because of some of the stuff that he says. Most excellent Theophilus says Jamal is one of the most wicked pastors. It's a toss up between him and Freddie Haynes. Yeah, I don't think I've heard much from Freddie Haynes, but the stuff that I have heard from Freddie Haynes, I'm just like, I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't heard much. But the thing about Jamal Bryant is that he is, I think, I don't know how long, I don't know if he's been around longer than Freddie Haynes, um, but I know that I've been knowing about Jamal Bryant for quite a while. I think since like the late '90s, early 2000s, I've been hearing about Jamal Bryant. And now that he's in Atlanta, Georgia, like you kind of hear about him a lot, especially if you're living in that region, which I do. All right, so anyway, we're gonna get ready to get up into this article now. If you guys know Herschel Walker, he's an ex-football player, and he is currently running for Senate against Raphael Warnock, who is the incumbent. He's the guy who already holds the seat. He's up for re-election, and Herschel Walker is running against uh, Reverend Raphael Warnock, who is a uh, pastor like Jamal Bryant. So, um, anyway, we gonna see what Jamal Bryant has to say. We gonna see what Jamal Bryant has to say. And I don't think this article is that long, so I ain't gonna keep you guys here with my babble too long. Let's get into this. It says Georgia Republican Senate nominee Herschel Walker showed a slight lead. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't skip anything. Because I thought, okay, now that is it. Okay, let's start over. Georgia Republican Senate nominee Herschel Walker showed a slight lead over incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock in a new poll released Monday, just hours after Pastor Jamal Bryant, one of the state's most influential black megachurch pastors, slammed the former football star as the quote, lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken black man, end quote, from his pulpit Sunday. Jamal Bryant has no reason to call anybody a quote unquote broken black man out of all of the scandals, past and present, that he's been caught up in. I mean, just the audacity to call somebody a broken black man is just beyond me. All right, so let me turn my phone down. Notifications going off in the background. Here we go. The poll from the Atlanta Journal Constitution and the University of Georgia was conducted from October 16th to the 27th. It reflects responses from uh, 1,022 people, randomly selected Georgians who are registered and likely to vote in the November eighth midterm election. Walker currently leads Warnock 46% to 45%, which is within the polls 3%, 3.1% margin of error. As of Monday, more than 1.5 million Georgians have voted, setting a new record for early voting in the state. WSB TV2 reported. So I want to see, are people going to be caught crying uh, voter suppression and that the election was stolen if Herschel Walker wins? But it's another topic for another discussion. And if he do wins, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be doing this type of broadcast. What, November 9th? All right, let's continue. Warnock, who also remains as the leader of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. both served as pastors, was elected as Georgia's first black senator on January 5th, 2021, when he defeated then Senator Kelly Loeffler in a closely contested runoff. And it's always interesting that they like to try to bring that up, oh, the first black, senator, and the first black this and the first black that. But the state of the black community in the Atlanta area is just getting worse. I think crime is worse with him being senator. I'm sorry, holding that seat. You know what I'm saying? Than what it was before he got in. Not saying that everything that the black community does should fall on him, but I hate when people talk about this first black this and this first black that, like being the first black anything accomplishes or is a big accomplishment for the black community. You know, quote, ladies and gentlemen, when the Republican Party of Georgia moved Herschel Walker from Texas to Georgia so that he could run for Senate, it's because change was taken too fast in the post antebellum South, end quote, Bryant declared from his pulpit at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithonia as congregants cheered in support. Okay, so what change was taking place? Anybody who lives in the metro Atlanta area, what change was taking place since Raphael Warnock has become or has held the Senate seat in Georgia? Please tell me what change was taking place for the black community. I mean, it just seems like people have just got more crazy in Atlanta with the crime and the violence. Y'all remember, what is it, just a few months ago, where the girl put too much mayonnaise on a guy's sandwich in Atlanta in Subway, and the man turned around, pulled out a gun, and shot the girl. Yeah, I just. And at the same time, is Jamal Brown supposed to be preaching stuff like this from his pulpit? I don't know. It's just beyond me. Quote, the state had flipped blue, and there are some principalities that were not prepared for a black man and a Jewish man to go to Senate at the exact same time. So they figured that they would delude us by picking somebody who they thought would represent us better with a football and a degree in philosophy. Now, remember, Herschel Walker is another black man too. He's another black man too. And it always gets me that these quote unquote pro black people, BLM, hands up, instead of them saying that, well, we just glad to see two black men running for the seat because we know that either way around, the black man is going to win the seat. We should be rejoicing in that. They still going to find a way to complain against the other black man who holds a totally different view. So instead of these perceived pro-black people saying that, hey, that just shows the diversity in our community, that we got people who agree with black folks on one side and we got other black people who agree with, other black folks who may disagree or hold a different position, but that's okay. Can't have that in the black community. We got to have a monolithic thinking. You gotta think like this: the way that massa white liberal tell us to believe, or you out of the community. We gonna revoke your black card. So if you don't think the way that massa white liberal tell us to think, then that's it. You know, we gotta slander you, all of that. Quote: They thought we were slow. They thought we were stupid. They thought we were so stupid that we would elect the lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken black man as opposed to somebody who was educated, erudite, um, and focused. Erudite and focused. I don't know. He be trying to use these big words and stuff, man. It's like, man, just talk English. You know, and that's what gets a lot of people with Jamal Bryant. You know, he goes to using this whole, he used a big seminary word. That must mean that he's smart. That must mean that he's called by God. Jamal Bryant, like I said before, he ain't got no business calling somebody else broken. And anybody who thinks that this man should be a pastor or should be up in somebody's pulpit, they're slow themselves. If you go to Pastor Jamal Bryant's church, then you are a slow person if you think that this man is called by God. There's something really wrong with you. I hate to put it to you like that. Quote: Since Herschel Walker was 16 years old, white men been telling him what to do, telling him what school to go to, where to live, where to pay for abortions, where to buy a gun, and you think they not gonna tell him how to vote? Brian continued, quote: In 2022, we don't need a walker, we need a runner. I give him that. I give him that. All right, that made me chuckle a little bit. He gets a point for that. We need somebody to run and tell the truth about January 6th. Oh, January 6th. Oh my gosh. I Dude, that's been like 2 years ago, and they still talk about January 6th. All right, let's continue. What else he says? He says, Georgia, I need you to know the slave Negro. Oh my, y'all are used to don't live here no more. We can think for ourselves, function for ourselves, and vote for ourselves. Why? Because we don't need a walker. End quote. Jamal Bryant is a funny guy. I mean, like seriously, this dude is a really he's a funny guy. I mean, it's just so much to unpack in just that one paragraph that I just read. He said that old white man been telling him what to do. And it's always funny that these folks, they like to throw out these ad hominem attacks, and a lot of times they be guilty of the same thing that they're trying to charge somebody else with. What else did he say? Uh, I don't know. Let me just keep running. Let me just keep reading. It says Walker's team did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Christian Post on Tuesday. In recent weeks, Walker has faced allegations that he pressured two of his former girlfriends to get abortions, but he denied those claims. Now, here's the thing. Once again, like I said in my other live stream, if that's something that he did, that's going to be a problem. If that comes out later that he actually did that, in order to win an election. But we all know how dirty sometimes politics can be, right? It's just like when Herman Cain what was he? I think he was running for president or something like that. And you had a woman that came out and said that the man tried to force himself on her or something like that, and he ended up just being like, whatever. He just stopped running. It's just like the same thing that happened with what was that? Brett Kavanaugh. How the woman came out said that the man did all of this sexually explicit stuff to her, And come to find out, she was just lying. And then this lady still ended up collecting $400,000 worth of like support and GoFundMe money, and people was just sending her money all over the place. And this lady collected $400,000 just by saying that this guy did something to her. And this man, like, I don't even know this lady. But that's why I'm just like, when people make certain claims, we got to take it with a grain of salt unless some evidence come out. The poll data shows that almost half of Georgia voters view Warnock as the more honest and trustworthy, while only 37% view Walker in the same light. Peter Strange, 41, an independent voter from Atlanta, told the New York Times that while he didn't trust either of the candidates, his vote will be going to Walker. Quote, Herschel is a former football player, and I don't know if he's ever read a book before, shots fired, and Raphael Warnock doesn't have any of his own original thoughts. I don't know what to say, said Strangers, who works in sales. Voting for them is like choosing between broccoli and cauliflower. I mean, I prefer broccoli myself. Now I don't know who will be broccoli in this particular case. Uh, Let me see. I don't know if I'm gonna play that video. If you guys want to watch that video, go ahead and come to this particular article, ChristianPost.com, and then you can probably watch it for yourselves. I'm just gonna go ahead and try to wrap this up for the sake of time. Although Walker has received endorsements from the pro-life grassroots organization Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, he was accused earlier this year of pressuring a former girlfriend to receive an abortion in 2009, a claim he has denied. Samuel Say, a black conservative blogger, responded to Bryant's comments in a Twitter thread suggesting that Walker would be a better option than Warnock. Quote, but that's not because Walker is a good man. He isn't. He just isn't as bad as Warnock. Almost anyone would be better than Warnock, Say wrote. Quote, Herschel Walker is an absentee father who apparently paid women to abort his children. But Jamal Bryant didn't address these issues. Instead, he pathetically suggested that Walker is an Uncle Tom. Why? Why didn't he address the real problems with Herschel Walker? End quote. Quote, I think it's because if he addressed Herschel Walker's real problems and scandals, he would have to talk about the biggest issues facing black Americans. The issue black pastors like Jamal Bryant have been ignored for decades. Fatherlessness, and abortion. Warnock, who won a special election to fill the remainder of now deceased Republican Senator Johnny uh, Atkinson's term in 2021, has faced accusations of his own that would have wound up in attack ads. That have wound up in attack ads. Warnock's ex-wife, an African lady, let me see, what is her name? Uluai Nadoye, submitted a court filing this year suggesting that Warnock has, quote, failed and refused to reimburse, quote, his ex-wife for, quote, child care expenses for the children, end quote, that materialized during time periods when he had custody of their children. Now, that's anecdotal stuff. I really don't care about that. I know people tried to go after Warnock for that, and just to be fair, I think that was just a big nothing burger, just a whole bunch of, you know, just a whole bunch of fluff. Quote, Warnock failed and refused to exercise his parenting time as previously agreed to and honored, end quote, according to the filing, which notes that when he does have custody over his children, he, quote, often solicits the assistance of caretakers and friends, thereby delegating his time to other individuals rather than adhering to the rights right of first refusal signed in the original parenting plan, end quote. Resurfacing this campaign cycle has been a March 2020 incident between Warnock and Ndoye that occurred while their divorce was pending. His ex wife told police that her ex husband ran over her foot with his car. However, police were not shown any evidence that Warnock had ran over her foot. Excuse me, over her foot. Why is a pastor getting divorced? That's what I don't understand. Grace and peace and grace and peace and why is this pastor? I don't know. That's another topic for another discussion. But again, I don't think that this has that should really anything to do with his politics. Because we all know that these politicians they move and they operate different from us who actually follow Christ. Warnock, who supports abortion rights, drew the ire from another former NFL player, outspoken pro life Christian Benjamin Watson, in January after tweeting that he is a quote unquote pro choice pastor who, quote, always believed that a patient's room is way too small for a woman, her doctor, and the United States government, end quote. And if you guys remember, I did a live stream about that maybe about a week ago about the Senate race between, well, I guess the past debate that they had, Warnock and Herschel Walker. Grace and peace, Sister Lewis. Quote, a pastor knows the value of human life. Watson tweeted, a senator knows how to support mother and child. Sir, you know better. Stop being scared, end quote. So that's the end of this particular article. Um, you know, I don't know. Sister Lewis, get your man. Get your man, Sister Lewis. Pastor Jamal Bryant. Like I said, this guy, he has no business calling anybody else a quote unquote broken black man. Pastor Jamal Bryant has done such a disservice to the black community, the black Christian community. Um, and he definitely, like I've always said, he just needs to be sat down somewhere. But he runs one of the largest mega churches in Atlanta, Eddie Long's church, which ironically was already filled with scandal within itself. And here this guy comes in from Baltimore uh, to run Eddie Long's church, to keep the scandals going, to keep the same people with that same mindset in that church. She said, "I'll mess with Sage and Bryant." Yeah, this guy here, he is just, I don't know. I think we all know, but I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, Pastor Jamal Bryant, he's way out of pocket. He's been way out of pocket. But anyway, let's go ahead and read some scripture about a person like Jamal Bryant, right? Let's do this. And this is where, what happened to me? I don't know what happened. I don't know why my screen went dark all of a sudden. But anyway, let's go ahead and bring this up. As long as y'all can hear my voice, I should be good. Okay, this is Matthew 7. Let's blow this up. Because a lot of people like to kind of use this scripture, and majority of the time it's out of context. So we're going to use it in context right now. Matthew 7 and 1 says, do not judge, so that you will not be judged. For in the way you judge, you will be judged, and by your standard of measure, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, and look, the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Because what a lot of people like to do is just say, they just like to read verse 1. It says, don't judge so that you will not be judged. And then some of them might go to, verse 2, but they don't actually read down and complete the thought all the way down to verse 5, where it says, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you can take that speck out. Doesn't say that you shouldn't be able to take that speck out regardless. It just says, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to take the beam out of your brother's eye. So if Pastor Jamal Bryant claims to be a Christian, and he claims that he is doing the work of the Lord, and he does believe that Herschel Walker is a fellow Christian as well, the first thing that Jamal Bryant would do would be to take the speck out of his own eye, to say that, hey, I got some stuff that I got to clean up in my own backyard before I can start talking about somebody else. But, of course, Jamal Bryant isn't a pastor. He's not called by God. So, of course, his actions is going to be in line and be in lockstep with politics, him getting up and just hooping and hollering in the church service to rile people up emotionally so he can bring in more money. That's all he's about. He's about being a pop culture pastor. That's just who he is. Anyway, let me get ready to get up out of here. That's enough of my rambling. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Do y'all think that Pastor Jamal Bryant is correct? He's actually correct, and I could be missing a point. That, hey, maybe he got a point that we don't need a walker, we need a runner in 2022. That maybe, hey, maybe he brought out some things about Herschel Walker that we need to take into consideration. So therefore we can continue. So therefore we can reelect Senator Warnock. Or do you happen to believe that this is a prime example of why Christians shouldn't be so enamored or should be so steeped in politics? It's the reason why we have to continue to draw that line between our faith and our political beliefs, because we could go way off into the weeds. Whether you vote Republican or Democrat, you know, there's been Republican people who call themselves Christian who don't went way far right, and there's uh, Christians who call themselves Democrat that have went way far left. But as Christians, we have to continue to remain balanced, and we have to remember that we serve the Lord ultimately instead of our government. So whatever you guys think, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell so whenever I do go live, you guys will be right there to see it. And with that, you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time, Lord willing.